I got other handles, nicknames, appellations, and cognomens, but this one here, I don't consider to be even halfway earned. Misanthrope? I don't hate my fellow man, even when he's tiresome and surly and tries to cheat at poker. I figure that's just a human material. And him that finds in it cause for anger and dismay is just a fool for expecting better.
Howdy there, listening people.
Howdy.
Howdy, Bartek. How are you doing?
Good, Ryan. How are you?
Howdy. I'm doing very well.
This is like that first Pictures Powwow episode again.
Oh, the memories are coming back. But no, I'm doing great. We're back here again on our show, Pictures Powwow, to discuss a movie that has come recommended. And I just want to say this. You know, I've been looking through the recommendations that we've had in the year, you and I, you know, because we've been trying our best for the most part to recommend films that have come out since the podcast has released.
I think this is, of the past couple of years where we've had a theme, I think this has been the most on point we've been.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I remember it's not taking a few months for me to say, like, okay, I'm going to finally recommend a musical.
I'm waiting for that Indian recommendation, though. Have we had one this year?
Not yet, no. I have one in mind. It's one I've seen before, but yeah.
There you go. And we'll have to find out next time. No, today we are here to talk about a movie that actually you recommended on the podcast.
Why did I have to?
Well, we have our turns. You go one week, I go the week after, and then the listening people get a turn to recommend a film, and it's fallen on your shoulders. What film did you give us all, Bartek, to do as our little assignment during the week?
Yes, I gave you all, and put it on the Wikipedia that this is a film given by me.
And Bartek's a teacher, so this is an assignment.
That's true.
Even though it's a CRT, and I guess you can't technically do that. I don't know.
Critical race theory? What?
CRT.
It means casual relief teacher. I'm a substitute.
No, Bartek is a big believer of critical race theory. I can't wait to read the connections on the IMDb page for this
I once read a thing online that's like, oh, we shouldn't have CRT in the classroom. Like, but that's where I work.
Oh, that's where you work? We need
in the
you.
classroom, yeah. No, the film that I've given is The Ballad of Buster Scruggs from 2018, I believe.
And it's by
Cohen and Cohen. I think they're related.
They are related. It is a Cohen brothers joint. And as you said at the end of our last discussion, it's their last film together.
Yeah,
so far.
I didn't realize.
Did not realize you didn't know. They've gone off and had separate careers now because I think for the entire time they've always done stuff together. I don't think they've ever done a film individually before until Buster Scruggs was their final joint, and then they said, that's it, we're going to go off and have our own careers. And I don't know, and I think a lot of people still aren't fully aware as to why now, and if it was a negative fallout, or if it was just a, hey, we've been at it for decades, how about we just spread our wings and do our thing? But it is interesting. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs is also fascinating because it's an anthology piece. This is a bunch of separate little stories, but with overarching themes, and of course attached to a genre, that being cowboy westerns and the old frontier and all of that good stuff. But when looking at the catalog of the Coen brothers, it's not like you would associate, oh yeah, they do anthologies. I think for the most part they just do straight down the middle, you know, stories.
Yeah,
like main overarching thing. They've done adaptations many times over, but
I think parts of this is an adaptation.
Yeah, parts of this adapts things as well.
I'm thinking back on Hail Caesar, where that was all set in like one place and
we had a main character
and main characters. But I do recall it having kind of like a segmented thing where it's like, oh, now we're going to focus on the guy that played Han Solo in Solo later on.
Alden Ehrenreich, yeah.
Yeah, Alden Ehrenreich, and then the Channing Tatum bit.
Yeah, but
some teasing going into it, I guess.
Teasing. I mean, we also had that with Burn After Reading. We had our different characters we would go to in this conspiracy that they've found themselves a part of. It's not as if they don't like to spread the load when it comes to their points of view. I mean, even the most acclaimed work, like No Country for Old Men, will go from one person to the next, depending. So, very fascinating. So, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, people, if you have not watched it, as already stated, it's an anthology film in which it deals with different stories in the genre of a Western. You will have some funny ones, you'll have some more dramatic ones, some sad ones. There's 6 stories in total. And fun fact, this is their longest movie.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, this is their longest, just over 2 hours, but this is their longest film, and it's the one that they're like, okay, this is enough, we're going to go off and do our own things. So they also made sure that if this is going to be their last time together, let's make it a biggie, which is interesting, because I saw this, obviously, at the time, but on Netflix. This is a Netflix joint as well.
If we're living in a sane world, it should still be on Netflix.
And if we're living in a sane world, it should have been in cinemas. But, and this is in 2018, so there's even less of an excuse.
That's true, yeah.
But we're going to get into it now. So if people, you have not watched the film, give it a viewing for yourself. I watched this when it came out. It's a new Coen Brothers movie. I often try to. I went to the cinema to see Hail Caesar, and I
did too.
Had a fun time with that film. And then The Ballad of Buster Scruggs really seemed up my alley. I love a bunch of these actors. I like the Coen Brothers. I like westerns. I like anthologies. I like anthology shows. I like anthology movies. So I was really open to seeing this, and I liked it. It didn't blow me away. I thought it was fine. Like, I walked away with a positive impression overall, and there were some stories that stuck with me more than others. And I did have an issue, and I think some people do, which is they start with their best foot forward, and then the rest of them are overshadowed by the titular Ballad of Buster Scruggs. And I had that issue, but also I have a slightly different opinion as well on that, because there's actually another segment that I liked way more than the rest, and I was looking forward to seeing it again, and I will confirm I still like it way more than the rest of the segments. But yeah, this is one in which, since it's an anthology and it is very much these separate stories, but they have, little connections, little threads here and there, thematically, or just motifs, recurring little gags or whatever. It does have a much more light, airy feel to it than most Coen Brothers movies we've done. I mean, my first recommendation on Pictures Powwow was a Coen Brothers joint with Miller's Crossing, which feels so different to this, but you can also see how it's clearly the same creative team.
We've referenced our first 2 Pictures Power episodes now. Now we have to reference the third one.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was?
Was it Dark Knight Rises?
We gotta get Bane in this discussion at some point.
Yeah, we gotta link it somehow.
So tell us a bit about your history and why you recommended this.
Sure. So I'd seen a couple of Coen Brothers films by that point when this one came out, but I hadn't watched this one. It was always one that's like, oh, if ever I sit down to watch that, that's going to be a good time, and I've just never made the leap to actually watch it. And then I was trying to think of something to recommend in the last episode for this episode. I was a bit muddled up on my cycle of am I recommending Hollywood film or foreign? I had a non-Hollywood film ready. I'm like, oh, whoops, no, I have to do Hollywood. And I looked through a couple. I'm like, oh, this is an obvious one. Ballad of Buster Scruggs. It's a Coen Brothers. I haven't recommended a Coen Brothers film before. I think outside of this podcast, I think I've seen 2 Coen Brothers films on my own. So the podcast has been a great experience for me to check them out. I'm like, all right, I'll recommend one finally, and it'll surely be a good time. And I did have a very good time with this film.
So the 2 you've seen, Hail Caesar and
I believe our friend Reese lent me his copy of The Big Lebowski back in uni.
Good one. That's a good. Yeah, we've done quite a few. The Coen Brothers, I think, are one of the most prolific directors that we've returned to over the years of our podcast in different formats as well, in unappreciated masterpieces.
Yeah, we did.
We did Intolerable Cruelty.
Yes.
Which is one of my favorites, and it's often not a favorite for people who like Coen Brothers
I
movies.
hesitated because I almost said Cruel Intentions.
Yes, it's one of those slippery ones.
No, and that was an iconic film from that catalog. It was like, oh wow, Coen Brothers film in unappreciated masterpieces.
Isn't that crazy? But it did have some great characters in that. I always think of Cedric the Entertainer in Adorable Cruelty as Gus Petch, the private eye. Just nail your ass. I'm gonna nail
Yes, that
your
was that
ass.
film. Yes, yes.
Oh my god, and Jeffrey Rush. Just him in general in that
See,
movie is insane.
Before you said the phrase, like, oh, I always think of, and I just thought of like a billion different characters, and I didn't even think of Cedric the Entertainer. It's just one of those films.
It made us fall in love with Cedric. Every time we've seen him, we're like, hey, it's our good old friend Cedric. But what did we feel about the Ballad of Buster Scruggs?
Yeah, you mentioned before that the criticism people have is the best foot forward.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had that too a little bit, where I think if I had to say my top three, it would be like the first, second, and sixth.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means that like the third through fifth is like, this is good stuff, but like, I really want it to like hit the heart a bit more.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So how did you feel about this overall, though? Did you enjoy the Ballad
I
of
did.
Buster
I
Scruggs?
really enjoyed it. I liked how, even though it is very segmented, like everything is its own story, there was this kind of recurring theme of like, death and like the fact that, people die and it's not always like such a glorious thing. Sometimes it's just like a blunt thing that hits you, and that first story like really, really hammers that in, where you've got this, very Ferris Bueller, Zach Morrissey kind of character. He's like talking to the camera. He's just invincible. And then like, as soon as he dies, the film completely changes tone, and you have this very, very beautiful song about how, there's always someone better, and, cycle continues. It felt very much like there is like a societal thing here where, people have their roles, but kind of nature goes on. There'll always be someone better to take you down, and then they'll take that place.
And the song is sung and composed as a beautiful thing. It's not like this message is something that's sinister or flippant. It's done as this very harmonious, angelic like song to give this message something more. So when we're going with each story going forward and we're dealing with this idea, it doesn't just feel, you don't walk away from the Ballad of Buster Scruggs feeling down per se. Like there's elements of it that do. The last story in particular is kind of spooky, but overall this is kind of an upbeat film, even though it's dealing with some very, very upsetting topics at hand. But the first one, the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, I mean, it leaves an impression. It's so stylistically overwrought. It's very humorous. You have the central performance by Tim Blake Nelson, who is fantastic.
It's wonderful.
It's absolutely wonderful.
I knew nothing about what Buster Scruggs, like who Buster Scruggs was, and it's like, oh my god, this character is so well realized.
Yes, he's an amalgamation of so many different styles. I mean, you referenced several characters already, and none of them were cowboys.
Yeah, exactly.
He makes me think of, there's so many that you can point to that he's riffing on, and I really enjoy that. I like just the weird details that they throw in. Like he pats himself down and then walks forward. You see the dust outline of his entire body behind him. It's like a cartoon, a live action cartoon, but it's hemmed in. It's not too much, but it's just enough. Like him using a mirror to look behind him as he shoots, and just the way the camera frames those shots is very cartoony, very Looney Tunes.
It builds up that idea I was talking before about like, oh, this is like an invincible like comedy here. If he does get shot, it's going to be like Bugs Bunny reacting to get shot or something.
If people you lament or just really did enjoy, like if you lament the fact that the other segments aren't in this vein, or if you're wanting more like the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, the film I would highly recommend is Tears of the Black Tiger. That movie is that, but more. There's more of it.
What episode number was that for us? That's not the third.
And of course, Lemonade Joe. That's the other one that I would reference, because Buster Scruggs himself is very Lemonade Joe coded. Even his outfit's almost identical.
Yeah, and the final scene of Nothing But Trouble when he goes through the wall.
Yeah, why not? Why not? He very much, the archetype he reminds me of is Roy Rogers. He was the singing cowboy of Golden Age of Hollywood. He had his guitar, he had his white horse whose name was Trigger. Trigger was Roy Rogers' horse, so often would appear in his movies and would be called Trigger. And so like
the real life horse was called Trigger.
The real life horse, and the name often in the movies was actually just called Trigger because it was one of those, the horse and Roy inseparable in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And in this, they even make a reference of like the horse has a name. Like it's just a simple name, but it has a name, and you need to respect that. And Roy Rogers very much had a lot of that going on too as an actor and in his roles. So Buster Scruggs reminded me of a more slimy version, because obviously Roy Rogers was like an angel. He was very angelic and very pure. While Buster Scruggs himself is like a sleazy piece of shit, but he just is so smiley and gentlemanly about being it. Like he has this moment where it's like where he's like, I would never shoot someone in the back. Earlier in the movie, he did. Just funny things like that. But so you didn't know too much about this. Did you know that it was an anthology? Did you know that it was a Western?
I knew that it was a Western, and I knew that it was... I don't know when I learned that it was an anthology, but when I recommended it, I knew it was an anthology. Yeah, it's just one that for many years I didn't know much about it other than like, oh, that's probably going to be a good one, and I knew the name of the song.
We have had the fortune of covering a variety of Coen Brothers movies, but I think it's fair to say for the majority of the time we've covered their more comedic leaning ones. Miller's Crossing's probably the outlier.
Yeah.
That's the most serious one we've done, but the rest of them are the goofy ones. We've had them be a little bit more silly.
Miller's Crossing, Fargo.
Yeah, Fargo's more serious, but it's still got its
Burn After Reading.
Burn After Reading.
Comedy,
yeah, and Intolerable Cruelty. But we've had a spectrum of Coen Brothers styles and genre bents and tones. So, but we still have an idea of like what a Coen Brothers movie is. So how did you feel about The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, like the film overall in the regards of the Coen Brothers oeuvre we've participated in so far?
No, it felt like it. Like one of the things I associate them with is like having an all-star cast, and there were definitely a lot of names here that I recognized. But even a lot of the ones that I didn't recognize, like, oh, these are like really well-known people. Like this is an iconic actress who's like first billed, even though she's in the last segment.
Yeah.
And even just looking up some of the actors, like, oh, I don't know who this guy is. Who is this? Oh, you were in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey?
Yep.
I was not expecting that.
They love their character actors as well. They love even getting Stephen Root in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Did you recognize him in this one?
I think the universe was upset with me in our Unthinkable episode for recognizing him. Because this was one where I saw his name in the credits. I'm like, all right, I got to look out for him. And then I got towards the end of the film, like, have I seen him yet? And like, oh, he was that amazing character.
He was the Pans Man.
And this was one case where I remembered what his voice was. I'm like, I should have picked it.
His voice is so... His voice
this was
in
like,
this one is
this was
so
like easy.
good.
This was easy mode, and I still failed.
Well, in your defense, he looks different. Like he has these really scraggly beard, the hair. All you get is like these bug eyes. That's like the most distinct visual outside of what he's wearing.
And I was probably enamored by seeing James Franco again for the first time in a while.
Oh, yeah, as you should be enamored by. But no, Stephen Root, for those who aren't long-time listeners, is the actor that is, I guess, a blind spot for Bartek, because most times when he appears, Bartek does not even know that Stephen Root was in the movie, and then if you do, you're like, who was he? Oh, I didn't see him, and then it's like, oh, he's this character.
Yeah.
And we've had movies where he looks like he has no beard, he just looks like regular Stephen Root, and you're like, I didn't see him.
Yeah, Red State was a big one for me. I'm like, oh, that kind of main character was Stephen Root.
And Idiocracy was another fun one, where you're like, I knew he was there, I was looking out for him, and somehow I missed him as the judge.
Sorry, I have to jump back for a bit, because I said I saw James Franco for the first time in a while.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying. But no, when it comes to the Coens, I think what I associate them with being is they always have a quiet precision to them. They are stylish directors, but they do it in a way that's very subdued, very, very matter of fact. But then they'll crank that knob and go into cartoon mode, where they'll have like some visual flourish or some performance flourish, for instance, that just really goes bananas and gonzo. Like we'll have all these serious movies like the Coen Brothers was like Fargo, great example. Fargo, visually speaking, very stripped back, very old school, very but it's those performances. It's leaning into those accents. It's leaning into those, the eccentricities of the characters and their verbal tics. And I think that The Ballad of Buster Scruggs has basically an entire, swath of all of their tricks of the trade when it comes to what they do as a team. Like, there's such a specific way that they use dialogue. And so many of these segments, surprise, surprise, actually have very little dialogue. But when we do, it's just so matter-of-factly them. There's a rhythm to how they use it. Like, the big story that everyone always talks about is The Big Lebowski. People ask the cast, like, oh, let me guess, like, you improvise because it's a stoner comedy, everyone's having a good time, and they always say, oh, no, we will always word perfect. The Coen brothers did not let us. There was only like one time we got an improvised line through, and that was it. They are so meticulous, and you can feel it. You can feel it in all of the choices in this, anthology film, in which it's mainly just having a fun time hanging out in cowboy settings and having different, like, pastiches of the genre. Like, one of the things people talked about was this feels like Red Dead side quests. Like, you fell into a Red Dead side quest now. And that's not an insult, that's like a kind of compliment, because they just captured the mood of just like, here are these little side stories in the Old West. These aren't ones that are worthy of being mainline feature stories, but they're all ones that you would read about, or you would play, or you would see as a subplot in a main story.
Yeah, they would be flavoring for the setting.
Yeah. Another film this made me think of a lot was the Trinity movies as well, just the slapstick, comedy, but then you have like the unflappable protagonist guy who's just here to do what he needs to do. But yeah, no, it was very fun. I enjoyed rewatching this overall. There are some segments that stick with me more than others. And the first one, Ballad of Buster Scruggs, I mean, it is tough. You got to put the titular one there early, but it's just so good.
It's one of those ones where it's like, okay, pick one of these 6 stories and we'll turn it into like a full feature-length film. It's hard not to say that first one.
Yeah, it was very funny. Any other moments in that first segment you want to flag up or highlight or just mention? Clancy Brown was there.
Yeah, I mean, both of the scenes where he goes to the bar and you do the versions of like, oh, strangers walked into town, entered the bar, and like he's meeting the people and he makes his presence known. It's like the 2 versions of that where it's like, the skeezy one where it's like, oh, they're doing illegal things and they're still not friendly to you and you really show them. And then there's like the friendly, lively one where they don't pay attention to him when he walks in, but he still, makes his presence known. And you mentioned Lemonade Joe. He has like a whole song in the bar after the fact about, how upbeat and great he is. And he's taken down this like,
Surly Joe.
He's taken down Surly Joe, Clancy Brown. And then Clancy Brown's brother is like crying for him during the song.
And he's just dancing and everyone's just not paying attention. It's just so wonderful. I mean, one of my favorite just random moments of the ballad itself is there's this ongoing thing where people insult him. They get his name wrong. They treat him like garbage. They just give him names. And he's just like, well, I'm sorry, partner, you feel that way. And you just see like he's got this like, golly gee. But whenever that stuff happens, you see this anger just bubbling under the surface, like genuine anger and contempt. And it just feeds into how wonderful the character is because it's a performance. Like this lovable scamp is a performance that this character is putting on that we never really see break, but we see it breaking. We see the cracks forming, but he always reels it in and then just does some garish thing that wins the day out for him. Yeah. And the only time, and again, spoilers, he dies to someone who compliments him, gets his name right, and admires him. That's the person who takes him down because he doesn't have that edge over this person.
That person was better than the others, and there's always someone better.
And for the first time, you see Scruggs himself was driven by proper ego rather than like this bravado of being insulted, like his honor was slain. With this final person he's having the shootout with, he actually has nothing wrong with them as a person. He's just doing this to, make himself feel more important, more grand, and that gets him in the end.
And he's still being larger than life, like talking to the camera, but it's like, hey, you should have been focusing.
You should have been focusing.
I do like that, even though he does like bounce off of a lot of those insults, like twit is the one that really gets him.
Yeah, he does not like that at all. Oh, what was the word that was on his wanted poster? He had a real issue with.
Oh, he doesn't like people. Misanthrope?
A misanthrope. He really was upset that they call him a misanthrope. He's like,
Yeah, I love people. What the hell?
but then we see him be a misanthrope in a way, so it's very funny. I like that. I just want to also say that over the years, Bartek and I have covered a variety of westerns, new, old, deconstructionist, plain Jane, comedies, musicals, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, we have.
And I've often discussed this, but the Western was one of the most beloved film genres, and there's the saying that everything is a Western, every genre kind of comes back to it. But there is something so malleable about it because we have seen similar scenes played again and again, but they feel different depending on the execution. Like the start of They Call Me Trinity, you see him rock up to this shady, establishment, people giving him the mean eye, but then he just eats a whole plate of beans and freaks everyone out. And he's just such a charming guy, and he shoots all of them down in cold blood and then takes the one good guy with him and all of that. Very funny, but also played straight. You get that in this. Or when we were talking about the CD bar establishment thing too, I was also thinking of Slow West, where we had the scene where they go to, the store to pick up supplies and whatever, and like one of them is getting changed in the thing, and then there's this shootout in the main area, and it's like we've seen these type of scenes and these type of characters and these type of set pieces over and over again in our westerns, but it depends how you execute them. Like you have scenes in this that are bombastic and over the top that you could almost make a direct comparison to Tears of the Black Tiger, but they are different. They are completely different, yet you see how it's the same notion.
Yeah, I was thinking of Slowest a couple of times in this film, like whenever someone would be like telling a story, like especially that last one.
Yeah.
Because we had that one scene in Slow West where the character was telling a story and we had like a whole flashback sequence.
Yeah. And that was before. That was a few years before this.
Yeah,
that was 2014.
Yeah, 2014, 2015, thereabouts.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? But of course, the song, the big, there's a few songs in the segment, but the last big song was the Oscar-nominated song.
Yeah.
And it is the best. It is.
It's the one, yeah, I rewatched after I was done. Like, I want to see that again.
I just liked how visually surreal it is, just him floating out. One of the things to note as well is this is the first time the Coen brothers have shot on digital, and you can see that. But yeah, the digital trickery and the color palette and just the CGI of it all works when it's being surreal like this, and not so much when they're trying to recreate actual animals that we know in the real world later on. But so the second segment is your good old friend James Franco. Disgraced actor James Franco is back, and this was the one that I alluded to at the end of our previous discussion. That is the bringer of a famous online meme.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that you said that, but then when it happened, I'm like, oh, I've seen that before. Oh, Ryan was telling me there was something.
Yep.
Yeah, and I referenced it before accidentally.
Yep. Very
crazy. It was the first time that I've seen him in a while.
Yeah. So what happens in this segment, and how did you feel about it?
Yep. So James Franco is an unnamed bank robber. He fails because Stephen Root has pans. And
he Ned Kelly's him.
Yes, that's true. He does. And after he gets caught, he is given the death sentence and he's going to be hanged
by a good old friend, Ralph Ineson.
Yes,
from the Green
Knight himself.
I forgot he was in this.
I didn't realize it was him until after. I'm like, oh, that was him. I didn't recognize you without your British accent. But
yeah.
The voice stuck out to me. So.
It's a deep voice.
Yeah. I mean, I already didn't recognize Stephen Root, so I think that's unfair to not recognize other people. And it kind of becomes like this comedy where, a bunch of the savages come and kill all the people that were going to hang him.
He's sitting on his horse.
He's sitting on his horse with the noose.
Horse.
Yeah, his arms tied behind his back, and he's trying to survive. He gets saved by someone who's herding some cows, but it turns out that guy's a bad guy, so he gets arrested.
A rustler.
Yeah, so he gets arrested and sentenced to death for being an accomplice to him.
Yeah.
And then he gets his final hanging.
Yeah, and it's that joke of like he's no longer worried about it because he's already gone through this before. You see the guy crying next to him, and it's like first time,
yeah. And it's just one of those things where like I didn't know it was from this, and the angle of it, you can't really tell that it's like in a western town square.
Yeah.
I was reading online that some people thought I thought that was like from a pirate film or something.
Yeah, from Pirates of the Caribbean is very similar.
Yeah.
Of like the scene where Jack gets hanged and they throw the sword under his feet and he lands on that. Well, it's very funny.
Yeah.
I like this is a very humorous one, very minimal dialogue. It's very visually told to you. It is a lot of just look how humorous this is, of like the horse is going further away from the tree and James Franco is getting more diagonal as it goes, and it's choking him slowly, which is like a horrible fate for him. Like, just you may choke to death before the horse even lets go of your body. Like, how horrible is that?
Even when the guy comes to save him, he like keeps missing.
Oh my god, that was so good. And he's like, stop moving.
Stop moving.
There's lots of humor to be had here, but what really, really made this work for me, obviously the first time bit is iconic. That was an instant classic moment from this movie. It's probably, again, there's so many great things, but that's the thing that lives on from this movie.
In an era of meme culture, obviously.
And it's just a great payoff gag to everything. Just him being like nonplussed. James Franco, say what you will about the man, he has one of those shit-eating grins that's perfect for that line delivery. I always think of the Spider-Man movie where he turns around and gives a shit-eating, like, acknowledging, like, haha, while he eats some cake.
If he was eating cake while he said first time, that would be like the culmination of his whole career.
And then he could retire and not do anything and not get in any controversies and not have a body pillow. We don't talk about that. But I think what makes it for me is the final shot of it, where he is looking down at the young woman and they have like this connection, this moment, and it's just unspoken, and it's all in their eyes.
They're in the middle of like a love at first sight kind of thing.
Yeah, like, if it worked out differently, maybe they could run off and be a Bonnie and Clyde or whatever the case may be. Something we haven't mentioned is there is a framing device to this. It's very much like Michael Palin's Ripping Yarns, in which there's a book that we read from, and you get extra information if you read the pages.
I did notice
you
that,
get little extra details, like in this one you get to find out like how they went off and sold like his body and all of this kind of stuff. It's very cute.
Yeah, was the book called, I think, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs and Other Tales of the American Frontier?
Yeah.
So even like the in-universe book is like, hey, Ballad of Buster Scruggs and other things. But yeah, there's this nice framing device. You get like these gorgeous illustrations. Yeah, the first thing you see like before any story starts is like one key moment from each of them. So it's like, ooh, how's this going to factor in? Like the Stephen Root wearing the pants thing and like the quote he says.
And there's some fascinating things of like when you see, because we do get the first little bit of the story if you read the text and then the end.
You see like the first and last page.
And it's always fascinating because some of them play it in the novelization form from a different character's perspective. Yeah. Which is interesting than what we actually get in the story itself. So that's kind of an interesting way of looking at these, where it's like in the in-universe framing device, the story's being told by somebody else sometimes rather than the actual characters we are seeing on the screen's perspective.
I didn't go back and read through all of them, but the first one that I actually did kind of do it for was for the third one, where it was like the third person narration just talking about like the chickens experience, kind of like, it looked out alone without an accomplice with them.
So that third one, unless there's anything else you want to say about a good old James Franco segment?
If something comes up, I'll jump back to it, I guess.
The third one...
What was it called?
Money.
Easy Money. Meal Ticket.
Meal Ticket is the third one, yes.
Meal Ticket.
Liam Neeson is here, everyone. And
Dudley.
And Dudley himself, who's an amazing actor. I want to say his name is Harry Melling. He's an amazing actor. He did a film last year called Pillion.
You've talked about that one a bit.
One of my favorite films that I've seen in recent times. He's great.
I'm really curious about that one.
And he was great in this. He just has such expressive eyes. He has such a striking look to him. And this segment is all about him talking a lot, him reciting all of these different passages from different plays and speeches and historical things. And this one's a fairly simple one. Again, even though there is lots of dialogue, it's very much a visually told story in which you have this team, whether they are father and son or just, this is someone he's bought for this. They travel around and the Harry Melling character does this spoken word performance for hours on end.
How many arms and legs does he have?
Oh, none.
None.
I was going to mention that.
Does he has?
Yes, he is a sideshow attraction, and he performs all of these eloquent speeches, some Shakespeare, some, American Constitution,
Yeah.
all of this stuff for different people, and you see that the wonder of it starts to wear down and down and down until no money is being earned from it, and Liam Neeson's character is growing more and more cold-hearted or more overtly capitalistic in his drive, and there's just lots of silent communication between these two characters. Like, do they really ever say anything to each other?
Well, you mentioned before, like, there's a lot of dialogue. There kind of isn't, really.
It's just Harry Melling's speeches
he doesn't say a single thing other than when he's performing. Like, it's always just looks, and Liam Neeson, he grumbles a couple of things.
He sings.
Yeah, he sings, but I don't know that he ever actually, like, says something directly to
Harry Melling.
Yeah, it's always like, telling people in the audience, like, oh, yeah, found him on the street, or talking to the chicken man. Yeah, talking to the chicken man, talking to the woman that he's sleeping with. It's like, oh, he had sex once.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this segment. This was one of the ones I remembered very fondly. I thought it was just very emotional, but without doing it in a way that's overtly tugging at those heartstrings. I thought that Liam Neeson was fantastic in this. I thought he really embodied the role. I almost forgot that he was in it when I was revisiting it. I was like, oh, that's right, this is Liam Neeson. I remembered the character more than the actor, and that happened again when I was watching it. I kind of just faded away that, oh, that's the guy from Harry Potter, no, that's the Taken guy. I just saw these characters. They felt so real to me, and yet we're given no information, but you fill in whatever you think their relationship is. Personally, I think they're father and son team, but you just don't know. You just don't fully know with their dynamic, but there's just so much heart in this story, and it comes down to these two performers and just the editing of it all, really.
Yeah, the way they interact, and also, the title, meal ticket, like, oh, this other character is my means to live.
Yeah. How did you feel about this one?
No, this was a good one too. It's not one of my favorite ones, but it was very effective and very quiet. Yeah, there's all of the looks that Harry Melling gives, like, a lot of them are kind of the same, but they all communicate, like, what this character is feeling. You don't need narration saying, like, I was feeling this at the time.
No. And it's hard too, because for the most part, we're seeing him with this overt makeup on that gives him an expression inherently, like, just sets it in his face.
Yeah, you even get a shot of Liam Neeson putting it on him.
Yeah, and it has a very dark ending, but again, it doesn't make a show of it. The Coen brothers are really good at restraint, and they are masters of not showing you things, but you know the outcome of it all. Like, without giving things away, but like No Country for Old Men is a wonderful example of that, where a fate of a character just isn't shown on screen, but you know what happened, and it's like very upsetting. And this does the exact same thing with Harry Melling's character. He sees it, we see it, but we don't see the deed itself. We just see the preparation for it, and then the aftermath of it.
And you're putting the pieces together, because as it goes on, Liam Neeson's clearly getting less and less, interested in, I need to keep this guy around. He's earning less money. He's now gotten a new meal ticket, a chicken that can do maths.
And I like that we never even get to see if it works for him, that new meal ticket. Like, there's no real, defined, like, haha, the dramatic twist is the chicken doesn't work for him. Well, we don't know.
Yeah, I thought
just keep going.
I thought when he was buying it, there'll be like a little line like, this is the trick or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, oh, I'm trusting this works.
Yeah, he just has faith it works. Like, we even see Liam Neeson's showmanship wane throughout this segment as well. Like, at the beginning, like, he's more participating in it. He's making sounds, all of that. By the end of it, you just see shots of him behind their little trailer, just looking miserable. As people who have had to do live theatre where you have to sit on the wings and hear the same thing every night, felt true.
Oh yeah, you can be like that.
I was just like, I've been the Liam Neeson when I've been sitting in the wings listening to like another player or my own thing. I'm like, oh, here we go again.
We've mentioned our uni play a couple of times, Soviet West, and that was there were 4 plays that night, but 3 were done like in a row. Like after one ends, like the next one starts. We were always the third one.
Yeah.
So we'd always have to wait 2 shows before we could do our one.
And so we would often have to hear the other 2 plays, and then so on and so forth. So it was always making me think of many moments I've had like that. But no, Meal Ticket, it's very simple but effective, and like, how do you feel in regards to anthology films and like how they should handle their stories? Because it's always that thing of sometimes they have ones that run too long, ones that don't feel like they're in rhythm with the rest, ones that feel like they're too good to be just a short story. Like, how do you feel about that stuff?
Yeah, maybe sometimes you think like, oh, I would have liked to have switched these two around a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like, it happens sometimes. I love the Kentucky Fried Movie, but there's like 1 or 2 seconds like, oh, that one goes a bit too long, and I kind of forget it's an anthology at that point.
Right. Is that the Bruce Lee parody one?
It's a very good segment, but it does go for a long time.
And how do you feel about this particular film and how it juggled all of those things?
Yeah, so I said earlier that the 3rd, 4th, and 5th ones kind of dragged a little bit in the sense that, like, you know, they weren't my favorite ones and they were a bit slow. I think especially the 3rd and 4th ones, because they are so, like, dialogue light, maybe they could have served from, like, being, you know, the 3rd one moving one ahead, the other one moving one later, just so you have, like, oh, you know, break it up with, like, Buster Scruggs, and then you can have the James Franco one after it, and then you have the slower one where it's the Prospector, and then you have the rest of it kind of in order.
I do see the method behind this of you start out with the fun ones first and then get into the more silent, melancholy ones and then end on the dreamy one. It makes sense in that regard. And what I really value on the rewatch is that for the most part, these are simple stories. They aren't too overdone. They aren't too complex. I'm not walking away from any of these thinking, oh man, that could have been an actual feature. Like, that could have been more. There's just this, like, again, tranquil nature to a lot of these too. I love a film, and the Coens are masters of this as well, of watching silently a character or characters go through their process, like their daily routine or their method of work or whatever the case may be, and how that informs us on their character. And that is what we got with Meal Ticket. That's the one we get next with the Gold Prospector, with the 4th one, which again I really enjoy as well. I like seeing a character just grumble about and do their routine, and then a situation happens to them, and how do they deal with that, and what does their routine being interrupted really show us about who they are, because their routine has given us who they are, but what happens when that is taken away from them, or someone is trying to steal that or disrupt it in any way? How do they react? What does that tell us about their character? And I thought, you know, this 4th segment, I like that. I mean, Tom Waits is a musician. I mean, he's an actor too, but he's a big musician. And I absolutely adore that Tom Waits has finally reached old man, because he's always had old man energy.
Okay.
He's always just had, he's got this deep voice. He's a real grumbling man. And he just has such a hangdog expression. And now he's finally reached the age where he's got a big white scraggly beard and white hair and jowls. And it's like, oh, finally, he's become what he's always been destined to be.
Yeah, I was about to say Destiny.
It's just so good. And he was perfect in this. Like, he just, with minimal dialogue given to him, you just see him, just the way he holds himself, his face, his beard, the way he interacts with his donkey, the way he interacts with the land. There's just so much communicated to you without having to have him say anything about his deal.
I loved the book ending of this one, of like, oh, you know, it's kind of set in this one, like, big field area that's kind of like surrounded by mountains.
An Eden.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Northman a little bit, like the main setting. Like, we're on this, like, hill the whole film.
Yeah.
But, like, kind of the opposite's like a valley. And yeah, it starts off, you see, like, oh, you know, there's the fish in the water, there's animals eating the grass, birds in the sky. And then they go away, and this man comes in and he does his business. And when he was going away at the end, I was like, oh, it would be really great if, like, all the animals just came back and they did it.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah, and even the little bit in the meta narrative of the text talks about that too, about how he was this intrusive force that came in, and then once he left, the land restored, but forever changed, as well as it shows like the little illustration of the grave.
Yeah. He's not too much of like a take. Like, he takes enough gold to live comfortably. He doesn't take all of the eggs from the nest.
No. But hey, how do these birds count anyway? Nice little reference
to
the previous segment.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. I love just hearing Tom Waits' gravelly voice just personifying the gold and calling it Mr. Pocket. You liked it. Like, you like him, even though
I do.
In the framing of the story, what he's doing is a wrong thing or something that's like destroying the land and is changing. It's a corrupting force, but you're sympathetic towards him, even though there's nothing there other than just like Tom Waits is like a presence, and he just is like grumbling to himself about how I'll find you, Mr. Pocket. And then when he finds it, you're like, yay, yay. And then you know that there's going to be something that interrupts this. But
yeah, I was watching it with subtitles, and there was something like Earth above him shifts. I'm like, oh, what did it? I didn't hear it myself, but the subtitles said something happened.
Yeah, I love just him being like, Mr. Pocket. I like the whole routine of him sifting for the gold and seeing how many pieces start to deteriorate as he gets further along.
The Mr. Pocket thing was making me think of Mr. Jackpots.
Oh, yes.
From Twin Peaks: The Return.
Mr. Hat was what I was thinking of, but
Mr. Hat?
Mr. Hat. But no, I really adore this segment. It's again beautifully shot. I love how when you enter the valley, there's the colors of it are just slightly off. Like they crank the vibrancy to this weird degree. Like when he's in the creek, the blue of the creek, the way it shimmers is just, it doesn't feel right. It feels like too divine in a way, and that works beautifully for what this is trying to communicate of just that this is this holy place and this little old man who's here for capitalistic greedy. He literally wants gold.
Yeah, it's the most beautiful.
Intruding.
It's the most beautiful location in the film. So
yeah, the rest of it's very muted color wise.
It feels very real. Like, you know, you mentioned Red Dead and like other Western stuff. Like every place in this film like looks like a place that you would see in like a Western or a game like that. But this is like, you know, the beautiful location where nature is. Yeah, it's not really like deserty.
And you mentioned before about, like, you know, when we get to the middle segment, some of it drags, the lacking of dialogue. When it comes to this segment, this is the one with the least amount of dialogue.
Yeah.
Was that an issue for you overall?
A little bit, but again, there are so many merits to this one that it wasn't that bad. It was just that, you know, I loved other segments more before it, and then after it, one was still kind of shown above it. It was one where at the end of this segment, I'm like, that was really well constructed.
Yeah, and it does have some little twists and turns. Like there's someone else that has been waiting for him to find the gold.
And you know, you're conditioned already at this point in the film. You're halfway through. Like they all end in tragedy. So
in death.
Yeah, in death. So when, you know, he finds the gold and the subtitle says, oh, something happened, it's like, oh, I know where this is going. And the film uses that, which again, this goes back to the thing of like, how would you change the structure? I think the film kind of earns that, you know, dread where it's like, oh, he's going to die. And after he gets shot, it lingers on that moment for a really, really long time.
As the guy's making his cigarette.
He's making his cigarette. He only smokes like 2 puffs of it before putting it away.
The
He's
blood
just
is still pouring out of Tom Waits.
Yeah. He turns around to look at some birds flying in the sky. It's like, man, we're just watching this likable guy who's been dead, and now this like young guy who's like
scummy guy. Like
scummy guy.
Yeah, he's got a real mean face. They make sure the sun shows like his like pocked skin. Like they really like his. If I recall right, he's like in really dark colors.
I think
as well.
so too.
Like,
yeah.
And he's just like this.
He's dressed like an Avenger,
and he doesn't have anything to say either. He's just like sitting here waiting, just like, okay, now's the time.
Yeah. And so the film has a twist where like, oh no, he survived.
And they play it fair because the thing we see from the Tom Waits character's point of view because he knows there's a person up there. The thing he looks at is his pickaxe thing. He's like eyeing it. So there's a nice playing fair with the audience of like, it's a surprise, but not a complete surprise.
Yeah. He's thinking about what comes next.
He's thinking of, if I get shot, I need to fall so I can have that at reach. It's fair. It's
I
fair
didn't
storytelling.
think of that. That's really good. Yeah.
It's done in a way where if you notice it, you get that excitement of, oh, you got to fuck this guy. And if you don't, subconsciously, your brain noticed that there is setups here.
I do remember that, like, lingering on that shot. I'm like, what does this mean? I don't really get it. And then later on, when he's, like, you know, killed the guy and he's, like, washing himself in the river, he is talking to himself, like, he just shot clean through. He only hit guts. He didn't hit any vital organs. So it's like, hey, we got a dialogue explanation for why he's fine.
Yeah, and I love just him being like, you stole from me, you're gonna make me do all the hard work. Like, he's so pissed off. He's been like this nice quiet figure. He's been just looking forward to meeting Mr. Pocket. Like, he's personified this gold, and then when somebody else tries to take it, you just see all the venom and all the evil.
And it makes it even funnier thinking back to, like, him pretending to be dead. Like, oh, he was holding that rant in the whole time, like, believably playing dead.
Again, he's justified, but you do see, like, with Buster Scruggs himself, there's this anger, there's this venom, there's this dark side of man brewing underneath the nice homeliness of Western characters. You know, we have clean shaven, all dressed in white cowboy singing songs, but underneath there's this anger. And then we have the old prospector type, the guy who would be like a fourth tier character in any other Western.
You say the word old, you know, the phrase old prospector, and you've already got like the caricature in your head.
Yeah, you got that. And they play that. They play you with that. And then when you have this moment, you're like, yes, this is so good of flipping these things.
Yeah, you said a bit ago, like, oh, you know, it's so great that this film like shows you the methods of these characters. And that's the really great thing about this one, where it's like, oh, you've got the old prospector character, and you see how he's finding the gold. Like, I don't know if this is, like, accurate to how prospectors did. Like, they find, like, little chunks, and it's like, okay, I can detect it there. But it communicates to you, like, he has some sort of specific knowledge that tells him where the gold is. And it's like, oh, okay, so there is something to this kind of line that he's in.
And the fifth segment is the longest one. The girl who got rattled.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe it is the longest one.
It might be.
And it's my favorite. I love this segment. I absolutely adore it. This is a type of melancholy, sad story I like from the Old West or the New Frontier era. These are the type of side quests in the Red Dead game I love. Like, this is my jam, to the point in which I have to kind of counter things I said before. This one's too good to just be a short. I'm actually kind of annoyed that this one is here, because you could have expanded this out to be a feature, and I think there's enough meat on the bone here. And I do feel like it intrudes upon the rest of the film, because there's the pacing of it, but also just the others don't feel like, oh, you could expand this out to be more. This one, I feel like you could have had more time in the setup. You could have had more time here. Not to say that there wasn't time spent on these things, but there was just so much going on here. These characters, I really enjoyed each one of these characters. I liked the brewing romance. I liked this setup. I liked the caravan. I liked all of this stuff very much. This is the one in which I walked away the first time I watched it, and I walk away from this time watching it saying, that's a segment where I got to know people rather than fun characters. This is the one where I walked away saying, those were real people to me. Like, I felt like I got to know them, even though most of them just go by like a name, you know, just like a simple title name or whatever the case may be. I really walked away from this segment, both viewings now, being kind of heartbroken and swept up in the magic of it all, but also feeling like, damn, guys, you could have made this one a movie.
It easily is the one that had the most going on. Like, you have so many details about like all of these characters that, you know, you don't get everything about them from, and in some ways it's like, oh, so where is all this going? It's the one that I walk away from like, I think I need to watch that one again, because there was just so many pieces going around that I feel like maybe I didn't focus on the right things.
Right?
Yeah.
So how would you sum up the story of this one?
Yeah, and you need to fill me in if I'm getting some stuff wrong, but basically there is they call it a train, but it's not like, you know, a locomotive.
It's a wagon train.
It's like a caravan, like people traveling out to somewhere.
Like in the Paleface.
Yeah. They're heading out somewhere as a whole group. Like, you know, there's people that are in charge of the train. It was reminding me a little bit of City Slickers as well.
City Slickers, yeah.
Yep. And the main character is this young lady who is with her brother, who is an entrepreneur, businessman, who's
yeah,
but not very good at his business.
He's a real Bob Hope character, yeah.
Yeah. And there's an opportunity for her to get married to someone in the place that they're going to, but the more you learn about it, the more it's like, does that guy even know anything about
or
this?
Exist?
Yeah, does he even exist? But our main character, she goes with the flow of her brother's whims because, she just doesn't have, a lot of self-confidence.
And she's a woman of this time period. It's expected of her to fulfill a
she's
role.
Very demure. She's wearing like the, long dress and everything like that. And they've got a boy that works for them who is expecting to get paid, but there's some issue with the money.
Mm-hmm.
The money's gone.
Or did it exist at all?
Yeah, this is why I'd need to watch it again just to get all of these details straight. But basically, she forms a bit of a relationship with one of the guys in charge of the train, this very young, attractive guy named Billy Knapp.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very kind, very sympathetic to her. He's thinking of ways to help her, and he falls for her, asks her to marry him. And they've got a life planned out, kind of, as the thing goes on.
He's willing to throw it all in to be with her.
Yeah, and there's this side focus on, like, the older man that he works with, which, that was reminding me a bit of City Slickers as well. It's like, he's perfect at his job, he's great, but he's getting older, he's never found love, and,
He was born for this, though.
He was born for this. I could be him one day, but if I get married, like, I can have a different life, and... it's very rich there, and then it ends in a tragedy.
Yes. I mean, tragedy sprinkled throughout. One thing you didn't mention was her brother dies, like in the very next scene.
Yes.
Of most likely cholera or tuberculosis or something that is very much talked about in the first scene in a very jovial way of like, oh, whatever that was.
Yeah, very early on, there's a couple of mentions of like, person died, but they weren't even sick the day before.
Yeah, they had a cough, but other than that, it was all fine. Like,
it wasn't an incurable cough.
None of us are sick, so it's fine. Yeah, very, very humorous, but bleak. There's a melancholy, there's a bittersweet quality throughout this, and yeah, there's lots of moving pieces. There's this whole bit about how she has to perform this role, even though she doesn't want to. This is very much made clear with there's this little yapping dog. That's not her dog, it's her brother's dog.
President Pierce.
But everyone assumes it's her dog because it's a little dog and she's a woman. And they assume, even if it isn't her dog and it is her brother's, that she likes the dog.
Yeah, well, your brother died, so it's your dog now,
Yeah,
right?
and you must like the dog. And you see like this back and forth relationship she has with the dog. And I think that beautifully sums up like her character of feeling like she has to oblige the societal expectations upon her, but also desiring things of her own. And she's very naive. She is the character that you, again, in a side story, a side character, whatever, she would be the foolish woman who goes off the wagon train and gets in trouble and the hero has to go and save her. She could be the main love interest, or she's just like, a side character in another story, but they flesh her out. They give her so much humanity to her. And again, a lot of this is held by those performances. We get lots of dialogue, but I think a lot of it is expressed through her face and the way that she looks at these people around her, like seeing her walk around. And this one's filled with just so many cute little details. Like, one of the things that really, really lingers with me is a funny moment, which is we have the wagon train, we're setting up, we've seen it go, we've seen them walk around, we've seen her get ugly looks from the boy that's working for her because he knows that there's no money, but he's going to try and milk her for it. There's a question of, like, is he lying about how much they owe him because he has no one to deny it because the brother's dead? But there's this moment where you see this little boy walking backwards. You remember this?
Yes, I do.
And the parents are like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to walk backwards all the way there. And then the mother's like, don't do that. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then the father or somebody like whips him with a cane. And he's like, don't do that. Listen to her. And just whips him. And it's like
canes his bum, yeah.
You don't need to include that, but it breathes life into this story and makes it not feel like this is just the Coen brothers having a fun time doing a little pastiche of westerns. It gives it some verve.
It was a good moment. I liked it too because obviously this is set in 1860s or something. Obviously it's a very man-driven society, and that's a little moment of like, oh, well, what is a woman's role in all of this? And you got a moment of this mother character who's like, being strict with her son. Like, maybe when that son grows up, he will outgrow the mother's strictness, but here's a moment where the mother is in charge of something, and the guy who caned the boy was complementing her power there. It's like, you listen to your mother, like, don't do that.
He's an extension of her. Yeah, there's just so many beautiful things. And because of how the other stories have been, you're perhaps waiting for, like, what's the other shoe that's going to drop? Like, hey, Billy Knapp. Is he acting a nice guy? Like, I had a part of that. I was like, is he playing her? Is he doing the I'm a gentleman type thing? Like, when he goes off to kill the dog, you know, we don't see it. He goes over the hill and we hear multiple gunshots and you're like, did the dog actually run away? Or did he just shoot it a whole bunch because he's an asshole? Like, what's the deal? Like, is he manipulating her? Like, oh, he's saying, I want to make sure you have a choice. But you get to know him. We get to have more scenes where it's no longer from her perspective. We get to have scenes where it's just him talking to, you know, his friend or his coworker, and you're like, no, he's genuine. This is real. And there was that added to the tension because I'm like, oh no, this is feeling too sweet. This is going to end up in a very upsetting way. They're not just going to have a random romance one thrown in here. Each one of them has ended with death in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. There's only one good ending, and the guy in the last story got it.
Yeah, the guy in the last story got it. We're not going to have two in a row like that. Yeah. We're going to give it to Tom Waits so he can keep playing old men in movies. I'm a real sucker for this one. I really liked it. And I know some people have issues with it because it's the slow one. It's the one in which too much is going on. All of those things I can see, but I found it valuable in the way that it's the segment to me that makes the whole film not just feel like a nice piece of fluff from the Coen brothers, which I still think is my biggest complaint. And who knows, maybe they'll come back together as a team, but it kind of does bum me out that this is their last one together because it's kind of just a piece of fluff, you know, from such prestigious directors.
You want the last one to be a bigger bang.
Yeah, you want the last one to be a bigger bang, but also there's the argument to be made of why can't their last one just be them having fun? And I think the problem is Hail Caesar was already them having fun. You know, so it's like with the last few where them just having a fun time, I kind of want them to do like a big boy one again, and they're like, no. We're gonna do Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and then we'll split off and do our own weird projects.
Yeah, I think I didn't look into this, like, you know, the source too thoroughly, but I think there was a quote from the guy that played Buster Scruggs talking about how, like, man, I had so much fun playing that character. I would love it if the Coens would, like, you know, make a bigger thing with him so I can play that character again. But I know how they are. Once they're done with something, they move on. And he had this quote, again, I need to look into if it was real or not, where it's like, look, if they wanted, they could just make a whole career out of doing, like, you know, the Big Lebowski spin-offs, but that's not who they are. They need to create new things.
They do. They always move on. The Tim Blake Nelson, that actor, he's worked with them previously. He was in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Their retelling of the Odyssey. Homer's Odyssey. He's one of the main three. You would love him in that movie. He's the dumb one in that movie.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen him in anything else, but I loved him in this.
Yeah, Tim Blake Nelson's just one of those actors that just pops up from time to time. Like, he was in The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, you know. He's just one of those, hey, it's that guy. He's a weird-looking little funny guy. He often plays slime balls, but every now and then he plays sweeties. So, yeah, no, the girl who got rattled, I mean, it has this tense scene, though, where she wanders off and she's just having a giggle about all these prairie dogs, and she's found
with the
dog, and then the other guy that runs Mr. Arthur comes along, and now he becomes the, like, John Wayne protagonist man. He becomes the guy from City Slickers, like he's the old ghost of the Western past, and he, like, knows exactly how to handle everything, and he's like, here's what we need to do.
He's perfect. Like, that's what the Billy Knapp said, like, he was born for this.
He was born for this, and he knows, okay, here's what you need to do. Boom, boom, boom. He gives her the instructions. He says, do this. Here's the lay of the land. They don't know this. I do know this, so let's see how this all plays out. Okay, they've done that sweep through. They're going to come back again. Now they know. They know how to deal with this. I've got to recalibrate and deal with them. They still trick him, but he still manages to survive, and the one piece of information he made sure to give her was, here's a gun.
With two bullets.
But
they're not for the savages. They're for you.
And me.
Yes.
If we don't make it out, if I'm already dead, shoot yourself square here. And he points, like, you know, right in the forehead. And,
yep. And he gives her all these details about, like, because if you are alive when they catch you, and, you know, he basically talks about the details of how they will rape her.
Yeah. And then mutilate her body afterwards.
Yep. So it's like, if you see me go down, kill yourself before they get to you.
And unfortunately, that's what she sees. She sees him get like a tomahawk to the face.
You said it a minute ago. Like, they do one-up him at one point, but he manages to pull through, but she didn't get to see the pull-through part.
And you don't... The sound design is so wonderful because you can barely even hear the gunshot. You are maybe like him and you don't realize what's happened, but you know something, so the dog's barking.
Yeah, the dog barking is the big thing.
And yeah, it's just one of those images that's stuck with me over the years. Just her body, her eyes looking up, and just him being like, fuck. And then the final shot of the whole segment of him walking over the hill, there's the wagon train, there's Billy Knapp there, and you're just like, what am I going to say? Like, the whole, what am I going to say? And then the passage on the page is also about that. And it's such a gut punch. Like, this is the most emotionally effective one. It's the one I liked. And when I saw the movie and I read people's opinions, people were not fans of this one. And it made me just shrug and put my hands in the air and go, fuck it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this one isn't in my top 3, but it's the one that I want to watch again because there's just so much going on. And yeah, that moment where, he sees her dead body and it's just highlighting, like, this is a character who's in control. He gave all the right information, but, it was used in the wrong way and he feels responsible for what happened.
And I want to emphasize, too, I love how they handle her character where it's not as if she's an idiot. She just was naive and made mistakes. I think they give her a lot of dignity, a lot of grace, but they still ultimately tell the tragic story of a woman out of her element, over her head, and, just unaware of her circumstances.
I was about to say that phrase as well, out of her element, but it's also like out of her element in a world that she's also out of her element.
Exactly.
With. So it's like all these layers and, she doesn't get the happy ending.
She doesn't get the happy ending.
That dastardly prospector took it.
That actress, Zoe Kazan, is the granddaughter of the director of On the Waterfront.
The Brando?
Yep, Brando one.
Okay.
So she's from an acting dynasty. He's a contentious figure. You can look up Orson Welles calling him a traitor because...
So we're talking about Brando for a second.
No, I mean, he's a contentious figure too, Brando.
Well, he's a contender.
He was a contender.
He could have been a contender.
Could have. But no, the director, Eli Kazan, he was a contentious figure because he was on the wrong side of the blacklist. He sold out people to the McCarthy era blacklist stuff. So he is a contentious figure, but he's also one who made really good movies. So one of those people. Look up the speech from Orson Welles where he is like calling him a traitor. It's very entertaining and he's spot on. But I just thought raise that. It's just like, she's got an interesting catalog of work as an actress as well. But the Coens, they get people from all walks of life, musicians, comedians, non-actors. They get all of these people that you wouldn't expect and some that you do, and just throw them in scenes together and just let them play. Like, the guy who played Billy Knapp, I was surprised. Like, he's had a decent career, but like nothing major. Like, there's no like, he's the major star of like this thing. He's always just like a quiet working actor. And I was surprised by that.
Fairly good-looking guy, too.
He's a good-looking guy. He was very charismatic. He just carried this segment on his back. Same with her. Like, it's just very impressive stuff. And then the last segment is like, here's all the character actors. Here are all the lovable freaks who you all love to see. Here's Saul Rubinek. I love that guy. Like, he is Brendan Gleeson. When you saw the opening credits, unless you looked up the actors, I know you look up actors beforehand sometimes or whatever.
Usually after, but sometimes.
I guess. Well, sometimes you're like, I knew Stephen Root was in this beforehand, so.
Oh, no, I saw him in the opening credits.
No, I mean like with other movies we've covered, you're like, I actually knew beforehand, so I knew to look out for him. Was the last
I look at
project.
I look at like the start, like big cast list, not like the whole thorough one.
But I didn't know if you did that because when the opening credits happened and it's like Brendan Gleeson, I was like, oh, that's right. And then I was like, when's he in this? He's in the very final segment.
I think there was one, I can't remember who it was, but there was someone early on, like, was that Brendan Gleeson?
No,
it wasn't.
So you said this was one of your favorite segments.
Yeah, I really liked it. Again, this was one where it's a bottle kind of episode. It's all set in this one stagecoach, kind of like the beginning of the Tarantino film we did.
Yeah, Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight, yeah.
deals with similar things.
Yeah, and you've just got these 5 characters, and they all have their like distinct personalities and their dynamics with each other that unfurl as it goes on, and it's just a really fun and interesting little story. And then you start to piece together like the implied reality of where they are
And what they are.
as it unfolds, and it builds upon this whole anthology's thing about death, and like, oh, these are characters who've already kind of had their endings in a way, going to the afterlife. And I still remember the image that we get beforehand was like the cloaked stagecoach, and it's like, and he didn't listen to their screams at all. It's like, oh, okay, so what's this like kind of sinister plot going on here?
Yeah, it's where all the dialogue is.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, did you feel like we were a little bit lacking? Here, all these characters are talking, never ending. Like, even ones you wouldn't expect to be as talkative, like the poacher guy, he had so much to say. And his
the trapper.
the trapper, and his whole thing was like, the joke is he's actually very articulate and has all
so
of these
funny.
eloquent statements that even the old lady's like, huh?
His actor was the one that threw me off. He was the one in Bogus Journey.
Yeah, who was he? Do you remember?
He was the military school guy.
The one in the nightmare sequence in hell.
Drop down and give me infinity.
Isn't that crazy? That's him.
I know, it threw me off.
He's been in a lot. That actor. You look at his resume. All of them. They've all been in a lot of things. I mean, Brendan Gleeson, obvious. He's fantastic. Brendan Gleeson as an actor, especially in this era of his career, he's so good at playing these sullen, quiet guy roles who are on the surface jolly and nice, but there's something else ticking away in them.
Yeah, I know you've seen it as well, but I think Calvary was a really good one.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, that's him as a lead too. I mean, nowadays he's usually like a secondary or supporting, but yeah, no, he's wonderful. I was thinking of In Bruges as well. Like he's just one of those actors where he commands the screen and he doesn't have to do very much. Again, that's this movie in a nutshell. It's like it commands the screen, commands your attention without having to be too much. I mean, the person he's next to, the Englishman, he's the one that's all so much. Like his mustache design, his hair, he's singing, he's speaking all the time. He's getting overly emotional. He was very fun. I like that guy.
Yeah, and the thing kind of starts like with him commanding the controls. Like, oh, is this our main character? Because he's like singing and everyone's listening, and he's apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry, did I wake you up? No, I wasn't even asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all get their moment to to command the attention and learn who they are.
They all technically have names, but in the credits they are listed just as their thing, the Frenchman.
Yeah, the trapper, the lady, and then the place that they're from.
Yeah.
Frenchman, Englishman, Irishman.
Yeah. And even though they do have names in the segment itself, but it's like they are just those things.
Yeah.
I love the Frenchman. I love that actor, Saul Rubinek. He's always great. He's a big ham. I love that guy. He's always jaunty. He was in many episodes of Frasier. He was wonderful. He was in an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where he played a villain, one of my favorite one-off villains. He was like the toy collector where he kidnapped Data and put him in his collection of all of these weird oddities and wonders from the universe. And Data's like, but I'm a person, I'm alive. He's like, oh no, you're my property. And he's just like this jaunty, narcissistic little guy, and he's just so fun. And he was really fun in this because he's the one that
knows a Polish person.
He knows a Polish person, but he's also the one that catches on to what they are pretty quickly. He's the one that kind of, we're dead, aren't we?
Is he the one that looks out at the coachman?
Yeah. And he's the one that's the final one to go in. But he accepts it. Like he puts his hat on jauntily, and he like, okay.
You get this shot of him looking at the sky, then looking in.
Yeah, seeing the coachman driving off into the ether. Yeah, I really enjoyed his character because again, he's very cartoony, but he's the one that demonstrates, as the rest of them do, that underneath the cartoony exteriors, they are more nuanced underneath.
Yeah, he's got a kind of back and forth dynamic with the lady he's sitting next to where, she's all about proper. Like, there are 2 types of people in the world. There's the sinners and the... What was the word she used? It's not like the unclean or something, but it was like, the people who don't believe in God and
Yeah.
like don't live life properly, the improper.
Yeah.
And he's the one that's like, I'm got all these stories about like gambling and the dynamic I had with this gambling man who told me to, bet for me. You know exactly how I think, but it's like no matter how well you know someone, you can never know exactly how they think.
Yeah.
And, that gets under her skin.
Your love was different to his love when talking about her husband.
He's an intellectual, and you're a lady.
How long has it been since you've seen him? How do you know he still loves you? How do you know he still loves you in the way that you think he does?
Yeah, he's got this line about like, charismatic. Yeah, I said intelligent, but charismatic men like him, they love differently from other people.
They seek validation from the outside. You don't. That's the difference. And it's like, oh. And then the trapper and his whole viewpoint on the world.
He was so funny.
Yeah, I must admit, this was the segment that I did not care for the most, and I think probably because it's the most overt in what it's doing, and maybe that's why I didn't like it, but I love the vibe. I love the spooky aesthetic. I like being in a stagecoach. I like the driver just being this Grim Reaper figure who does not respond, will always go for it. And when we start to lean into like these two on the other side are reapers and they get more devilish in their manner, but still maintaining what they were before. Very entertaining stuff, but I felt disconnect from this one in comparison just because it's a little bit too overt in what it's about.
I can see that, yeah.
And it's the only one, and maybe this is for the benefit, it's the only one that goes into a different genre bent. Like the rest of them are westerns for the most part. This one, it's like it is, but it's also like a afterlife ghost story thing that just happens to have western characters in it, which is good. But it is interesting. Like none of the others ever hinted at or ever leaned into like different things like that. I mean, we bring up Red Dead. Red Dead does that a bunch, where it's like, this is like a little weird ghosty story thing you're in now.
Yeah, you're in the sinister part of the map.
Yeah, the sinister part of the map, or whatever the case may be, where we're still in a Western, but we're kind of leaning into this different story bent. And I feel like the others were much more in cohesion with one another, and this one does feel like the outlier one.
But I see that like as the whole thing's like going through all the different parts of what's under the umbrella of the Western rather than like, we all have to be connected in a similar kind of way. It's not like this final segment also like brought in elements of like out of time. Like, here's like a contemporary person that died. And
it's still thematically resonant. It's still about death, but this is the acceptance of death, while the others are not about that in a way. Well, they are and they aren't.
Yeah.
There's an acceptance for Buster Scruggs when he's flying to heaven.
Like going back to the structure thing I was talking about before, like it makes sense that this one's at the end in a similar way to how Buster Scruggs is the first one.
And, even to counter myself, I just mentioned it, there was a supernatural element with the Buster Scruggs one where his angel floats up. So it is nice that these mirror each other, like they are bookends for one another, the actual Ballad of Buster Scruggs and this one, and how they deal with the acceptance of the afterlife. And just the first one is very musical and this one's very theatrical, very theater.
Yeah, I like how the lighting changes as the stagecoach goes on. It's like kind of daytime at the beginning, but it starts to slowly get, and it's not drawing like attention to.
No.
It's just like, it's getting darker and darker as it goes on.
And the colors are getting weird too. It's not just like there's a kind of greenish blue. It just gets interesting. And then when they arrive at the location, all the other buildings are just literally the fronts of them. There's no backs.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a set thinking.
It's very much like in the original series of Star Trek, they had to film bunch of episodes on like the lot, so they would have to come up with a reason why we can use this World War II set, why we can use this police set, why we can use this gangster planet. Like, this is the gangster planet where they left a gangster like a gangster story, and this civilization became gangsters. Like. And there's one where it's like they have to go to an old Western set, but Star Trek got really surreal with it, where they're like, let's give like the monochrome sky in the background, but the buildings don't have like any, like it's only just the fronts of them, and it's like this weird kind of shadow play thing. It really reminded me of like the original series Star Trek, where they had a couple of episodes, where there's one in particular like that, where it's like, now let's go to the Old West on this alien planet, but it's all fake, clearly fake, but on purpose. Star Trek had minimal budget, but this was one where they went, hey, we have minimal budget. Let's get weird with it. And I like that with this. They're like, let's get weird with it. I do appreciate it.
Well, the ending area in Mother 3 kind of does a similar thing, just to make it about something I like.
Yes, thank you, please.
New Pork City.
And we don't see the other two enter the build. Like we don't see when the Frenchman is looking around. They've
Oh,
already
the
got,
bounty hunters.
Yeah. Oh no, not just the bounty hunters, but the other two.
Oh, the lady and the trapper.
They're like, and we don't really get to focus on them entering or where they go. We just see the Frenchman's perspective. He looks around, and when he turns back, it's an empty hallway, and he's just like, okay, I enter now, and we close the door, and we don't, obviously it's most likely heaven, but it's left.
Yeah, they didn't get their wings.
They didn't get their wings.
Maybe it's different heaven.
So anything else you want to say about this segment or the film overall?
The only thing that, because, you can kind of intuit like what the whole thing means. Like, these are the people that have died and they're now going to their afterlife. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that like, they seem to be alive because it's the afterlife. The only thing that kind of puts a wrench in the gears in my head in that interpretation is what the dead body that the bounty hunters have means. Because if it is the afterlife, why is that a dead body?
Yeah.
It's like, that's just something to ponder over, I suppose, rather than like they didn't think of this.
No, I understand that. I was thinking too, like what I appreciate is these characters have such set beliefs on what life and death is. And then this whole journey to the ultimate end destination shakes their belief systems and they're now unsure and unaware of what's before them and they fear it. And I like the whole conversation from the Englishman about like what he loves about this job is watching them try to figure it out. And then being asked, do they ever? And he's like, how should I know? I'm just watching.
That was the moment like, I bet Ryan loves that part.
That was great. I mean, It's scary as fuck.
It is, yeah.
I made a recommendation to people before, but people, if you love this segment, you should watch basically any episode of the TV series Inside Number 9, which is a horror comedy anthology show. They have episodes like this galore. That show's great.
You described it to me before. It does sound very interesting.
Oh yeah. That series is awesome. They made 9 series in total. They made 9 seasons of it because Inside Number 9. But no, wonderful stuff. No, I really did enjoy the Ballad of Buster Scruggs on the revisit. I think this holds up nicely. I think it is paced beautifully. I think that there's very little issue I have. I mean, I just don't like the CG stuff. I'd rather them be more practical or just get more weird with things. Like seeing a CG deer just ages the movie. It didn't look great then. Doesn't look great now when we're almost 10 years, later.
Spoiler alert for when I picked the Bollywood film, the very first scene has some very CG animals in
That's fine, it's Bollywood. I never expect them to have good effects. Name me one Bollywood film that has great special effects.
Om Shanti on the gun.
Oh, okay. You got me there. That's a great effect.
Yeah. Listen, people, make sure you look at the visuals of what I was doing so you know what I'm talking about.
Talk about it. No, anything else you want to say about this?
There's probably a lot more to say, but I think, just you need to check this one out. This one has a lot of great things going for it. Even if there's parts of it that, you won't love as much as the rest, it's inevitable with this whole anthology kind of structure. Like there is great things to say about all of them.
I will comment upon the Coen brothers themselves again. So Ethan and Joel have been a team. They've always been cohesively together. Now they're working separately. So what do their careers look like? And
you said one of them's doing better than the other?
Yeah. But one of them only has made like one film. So it's kind of hard. The other's made like 2 or 3. So it's kind of like neck and neck.
Right.
But the thing is, there's always been this conversation about like, because there's 2 of them, what comes from what? Like, they both write. One of them's more of a director than the other, but the one of them, it's interesting tapestry. But there is this these 2 sides where we get the real goofy stuff. Like these guys did Raising Arizona, but then they also did Fargo. They also did No Country for Old Men, but then they also do Intolerable Cruelty and Lady Killers, and there's so much to them when it comes to that. And there's always this conversation of like, one of them's got to be the goofy one, and the other one's like tempering that down a bit.
This movie's an Ethan, that one's a Joel.
Yeah. Inside Llewyn Davis, A Serious Man. Those are very dry films. So when they broke up and they're doing their own movies, which one is which? And we've really, really found out for sure Ethan Coen's the silly one.
Okay.
Because his films that he's done are more contentious, more messy, less stylized, less polished, but way goofy. and really absurd, and they are cult classics in the truest form of like people really don't like them, but the people who do are like cultish about it. With he had one last year called Honey Don't. And the other one, Joel, he's like much more serious, much more refined. He did a modern day version of Hamlet with Denzel Washington. It's very serious and brooding. And you immediately like, oh, so that brother was that side and that brother was this side. Okay, great. And it's just so amusing. But Ethan Coen, very amusing. Like I mentioned last week just offhandedly. So he is in a relationship with a woman who is a lesbian.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you did mention it, yeah.
But they romantically like each other, so they're romantically in love, and so they're in a marriage, and they have an open marriage and stuff. And so she is a writer for his current film trilogy, which is like the lesbian trilogy, where they're about lesbians. And it's just very interesting, weird dynamic at play, and those movies don't work for a lot of people. Some of them they do. I've yet to watch either brothers' separate work because I just haven't had the time, and admittedly neither brothers' works look up my alley per se, but I must admit I am interested in the lesbian trilogy, and when he finishes it off I probably will give them all a watch. More than stoic, he's a modernly well-lit Hamlet. I'm like, okay.
It's funny,
I've seen Hamlet.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that Joel Coen's the serious one, because literally on the way to coming to record this, I was listening to a podcast where the guys who were hosting this podcast were talking about Garfield: A Tale of Two Cities.
Oh, yes.
And the writer's got named Joel Coen. Like, is that the Coen brothers? Like, no, it's a guy with a different name. And
spelt different too. Full Bill Murray.
yeah. And I was literally just looking it up as you were talking, like, oh, it was a different guy. Okay.
Yeah, he banks on that too.
Oh, okay.
So that there is the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Everyone, let us know your thoughts. But it's time. I think we both recommend.
I already said
do.
I did.
Yes,
yeah.
I do too. It's now time to hear my recommendation for the film we will be covering next time on the pod.
Sure. And you've been going in sequence of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
What year are you up to now?
I do believe I am up to 2022.
Yes, Belle was 21.
21.
So 2022.
So I am doing the 2022 film called Lola.
LOLA?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
LOLA. And I have not seen this. It's been on my watch list for a while, and I won't give anything away. I know a few bits and pieces, but yes, Lola from 2022. So everyone make sure to find a copy of that, give it a watch for yourself, and come back next time and hear us talk about it in detail.
Cool. I don't know that I've heard of it, so...
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I've gone back to one word titles again.
Yeah,
I had a little break.
Making me think of L.
yeah, I've gone back to a female
Yeah.
one word title thing. Yeah. L.
You recommended Christine at one point.
Yeah, now I'm back.
I
I'm
recommended Una, though.
back. Yeah, you did. You recommended Una. You should be proud of yourself. I'm sure there's other one word female title names we've done over the years.
But I don't think either of us recommended Juno.
No, you're right. Thank you for finding the third one in there. So there we go. Everyone, make sure to follow us on your social medias of Facebook and Twitter. That's right, your social medias. You own them.
Mm-hmm.
Take
Mark,
them. Yeah. Take them away.
Elon.
I thought you were talking just to my former housemate, Mark. Like he was listening. No. Mark, you own it.
No, Mr. Social Network, Mark.
Yes. Grab those fucking idiots and break their backs over your knee like Bane did to Batman in The Dark Knight Rises.
Exactly.
That's exactly right.
You took what I said into your two hands and you made it your own.
Oh, he said two hands.
I think that was the 4th episode.
Oh, wow. There you go.
What was your second recommendation?
Good luck remembering for me.
I cannot remember.
It's all right. But that is it. If you have films that you want to recommend to us, feel free to do so. Hit us up on those social medias or email us at...
You can email us at spitandpolished@gmail.com. If you don't know how to spell that, you can just look in the description of any episode.
Make sure to rate, review, and share the show around. That would be greatly appreciated. But until then, remember to be kind to each other, or we'll throw you off a bridge and replace you with a chicken. You wouldn't want that, would you?
Wait, is that what happened to Dudley?
No!
Is that what happened to 36, but last year I had 37? That's not the last. I want to check what you recommended second. It was True Stories.
David Byrne's True Stories?
Yes.
Wow.
And then War Machine, which I think was a Julio recommendation.
That was a terrible film. Terrible film. That's one where we said that should have been a TV show, which people did say about this, that it could have been broken up as a Netflix TV series. Just different episodes of different little
that sounds
anthology
familiar, yeah.
stories. But the Coens are like, no. In fact, would rather break up and not work on Netflix ever again. I still want to know why they did this. Like,
why this was on Netflix?
Why they went to Netflix? Were they struggling to get movies out?
Maybe they just believed in
Maybe
the
Hail
brand.
Caesar wasn't popular when it came out. It wasn't like well received, but it was good.
I don't remember. Yeah, I liked it. I don't remember hearing much about it though.
Yeah, maybe that was. I don't know. Let us know, Coens. I know you're listening out there. Joel, I know you're listening.
It was a
Let us
film.
know.
It was a film I saw with my mum, so maybe it was more low key.
There you go. Your mum was the reason why they went to Netflix.
The Coen brothers had like, oh no, it's a film Bartek's mum wants to watch. It's not gonna be like super high, but high
But
profile.
Channing Tatum will dance. He will dance his heart away.